turn to speak. You guys will be going around that way. When it's your turn to speak, you guys will be going around that way. This way and taking up your seats.
They should have had 10 votes. Just trying to help out.
So it's 155 next week, right? They don't have to provide like
I think we're ready to get started. Everybody can find their seat. Those of you that paid extra, those seats are already gone. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our candidates forum. I'm Louis Allen. I'm the chair of the Mission Grove Neighborhood Alliance. How many people have never been to one of our meetings before? Okay, so we got to show a real good impression. So, I'll be your moderator tonight for the City Council Candidate Forum. We're gathered here at Orange Terrace Community Center to hear from the candidates vying to represent our city in the upcoming June 2nd primary election. These are the candidates to date that have announced their intentions. There could be more before the filing deadline in March. Voter turnout. One of the reasons for us doing this and taking on this, which is kind of like herding cats in a way, with all the people and all the candidates and everything, is because typically in Riverside, we don't have good voter turnout in city council at all. We have 30,000 plus voters in each ward, and maybe 6,000 of those vote for city council. And usually a city council member can get elected with 2,500 to 3,000 votes. So it's not a very good turnout. So we're trying to get the message out to get people involved in what's going on and take an interest in it. So, next slide. Here are the wards. How many people didn't know they were in a ward? How many people thought that was a jail that they didn't want to end up in? So here are the wards. How many people knew what ward they were in? Okay, good. So tonight we're doing wards 2, 4, and 6. Basically the way the elections go is they do odd and even. So this is the even year for 2, 4, and 6. The next time it comes up to 1, 3, 5, and 7 and the mayor's race, they will all be together. The way the election works is they all run in June. If nobody gets over 50% of the vote in the June election, then they go to a runoff for the top 2 in November. So, candidates, you have our utmost gratitude for your willingness and sacrifice to run for office, accepting the responsibility, submitting yourself to the review and scrutiny, and your acceptance if you earned that public trust by being elected to represent the interests of the people of Riverside. We're going to have 3 of these forums. We're going to have the one tonight. We have one next week down at the La Sierra Senior Center, and then another one on February 11th. And the reason for that is since we have so many candidates, we want to introduce you tonight, and then as we get through these next couple of meetings, we'll have more and more questions from the audience and get drilling down more into their backgrounds and so on as we get through the three nights. The goal tonight is about clarity, not conflict. Our goal is to provide a platform for each candidate to share their vision for Riverside's future. Because we have a large field of candidates, we will strictly adhering to our time limits to ensure everyone has a fair and equal voice. So, before we begin, let's remind you of the ground rules. This is not a debate. The candidates will address the audience, not each other. We ask that all comments remain focused on policy, city processes, and solutions. Personal attacks or smears will not be tolerated. Timing. There will be a timer. You can see the timer in front of you. It's set at 3 minutes. It's not 30 minutes. It's 3 minutes. So the timer will be set depending on what we're doing, so you'll be able to see exactly the time going on each candidate. We ask you to stay. You can stand where you're seated, but we ask you to stay at your location where you're not going to the podium each time in the essence of time, because we've got a lot of candidates to go through. And it's easier for us with the cameras also. This is Ward 4, so that Ward 4 candidates will get a little more time at the end to do their closing statements and to answer potential questions from the audience. You're writing down questions on 3x5 cards. I'm sorry, we just don't have time to have raised hands and have questions from the audience. I will go through them and then pick out topics that I think. But if you have questions, please write them down, because if we don't address them tonight, we will use them next week, along with questions that we get later. So they're not going to go wasted. Okay? So, call to action. Members of the audience, we want to hear from you. We want you to fill out the cards and send them in. And we appreciate the audience keeping silent and no applause or outbursts while we're going through again in the interest of time. Okay? There'll be plenty of time at the end. We'll do all kinds of outbursts rather than at the end and claps and whistling and everything. So tonight's format, we're going to have up to 3 minutes opening remarks. Now you don't have to use the 3 minutes, and you're not compelled to use the 3 minutes. You have 3 minutes for opening remarks. Then we've given the candidates both 2 questions ahead of time that we want them to answer. Now, somebody might say, why would you give them questions ahead of time? Well, because these are important topics. Sometimes they get very complicated, and I want the candidates to have time to research them and make sure they understand the issue and so on, instead of just sitting up and trying to, ad-lib something that comes to them when they really don't know that much about it and need to know more. So we will do the 3-minute opening comments. We'll do 1 minute for the questions for each candidate to answer, and then we'll have questions potentially from the audience, and then they each get a minute for closing, except for Ward 4. They get a minute and a half for closing. So that's not complicated enough. I want someone to read it back to me. Okay, so we'll get started. We've got Ward 2 up here right now, so we'll start with Ward 2. And we'll do a 3-minute comment starting with each one. So as you finish, the next person can just take on, introduce yourself, and start into your 3 minutes. We're not going to go through introductions of each of these. Gracie, we will start with you.
Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is Gracie Torres. I currently serve on the Board of Directors for Western Municipal Water District. If you're in Ward 4, you're probably a Western ratepayer. So I have been representing you since 2018. I am by trade a water chemist. I do water quality compliance and federal project compliance. I was uniquely qualified for that seat when I ran in 2018. It was my background in water. Through my 8 years serving in public office, I have championed transparency, job creation, infrastructure, investments, and making sure that the water district was working for you. I want to do the same thing at City Hall. So, and in those 8 years, I have become the most qualified for this seat. There's an open seat. It's a natural next step for somebody that's put in so much community work. I started a nonprofit that created workforce development in water jobs, a career that is not accessible to many Riversiders. And it was not just our college students, but it was mothers that were reentering the workforce. It's for those that wanted to make a change. We trained them, certified them, and got them placed in water jobs throughout the Inland Empire, and primarily here in Riverside. I made sure that we implemented the first live streaming, made us we were the only ones ready during the pandemic because I wanted to make sure if you were at home, you couldn't come at 9 in the morning to see a board meeting, that you could at least watch it from home and have your questions answered or have them prepared for the next board meeting. Whenever community groups like this one started up, I made sure I was there, I was present, and when I couldn't be present, that Western was there answering your questions and being responsive to you. Again, those are the things that matter to me, and they haven't changed. They haven't changed in 8 years. I want to make sure that everything I do is community focused, that we prioritize job creation. We need more jobs here in the Inland Empire. I'm a mother of an 18-year-old entering that workforce with very limited options here in my city. I want to make sure that we enhance our city services. I think all of us suffered today from that traffic, right? I think we can all agree that those things are unacceptable. I shouldn't be paying taxes just so the next day a pothole takes out my tire and then I have to pay for that tire, right? These are city services, these are very simple city services that must be addressed in a timely and engaging fashion. And lastly, we must invest in public safety and addressing homelessness together. Our public safety officers need support. We saw that yesterday in a presentation. They need our support, and we have to be there for them. That's what I'm going to bring to City Hall. I'm going to be focused on you and nothing but the city of Riverside.
Ron's next.
Oh, you can go next, it's okay.
Oh.
Go in the order that are seated.
Thank you. My name is Mike Hall. I'd like to start out by thanking MGMA and RRR for putting on this forum series for the next month to give awards into the election spirit and being able to evaluate their candidates. But again, I'm Mike Hall. This is my 35th year living in Riverside. I got married to my wife Lisa, who's right here, in June of no. Oh, man, we've been married a while. We were married in the summer of 1991 and then moved to Riverside. We've raised our family here. I have run my consulting business from here. I have spent countless thousands of hours coaching Little League and baseball and football and helping with water polo and doing nonprofits all over town for literally 35 years. I'm running because I believe in public service. I like to give back to the community that's meant so much to me. I was a member of the Leadership Riverside class in 2005. And it's just, Riverside is a great city. I want to make sure that we address public safety. My son is a first responder, he's a paramedic, and so I understand all of the, I hear war stories of all the stuff going out on the streets. And it's very important that we support our first responders and make sure that they have all the resources they need to keep us safe, because if they're doing their job and we're safe, life's good for everybody in Riverside, and we want to keep that quality alive. The other thing we need to do is figure out how to make Riverside more business friendly. If you talk to a lot of business owners in Riverside, it's the worst city to do business in Southern California. Doing real estate development takes years to get a project approved, and it just costs a lot of money that is just wasted. We need to also get the staff so that we can get restaurants up and running, do some more things like that. Just because one of the things that we're going to need is more tax revenue, and instead of raising tax rates, it's better to bring in new businesses that generate more taxes. Again, my name is Mike Vall. I appreciate your support, and have a great evening.
Is it okay if I stand? All right. My name is Deanne Flores.
You can get on the table if you want.
Get on the table? I'll refrain from doing that. My name is Deanne Flores. I am a resident of Ward 2. I'm running for Ward 2 City Council. I've lived in Riverside for about 3 years now, and I love the city. I love everything about it. I was a Riverside County Sheriff's deputy for about 28 years, and I retired from the Riverside Sheriff's Department at the rank of lieutenant. I think that we need to take a look at a couple of things that we agree with, which is public safety. I think that public safety and supporting our public safety officers is a high priority, fire and police. I think that overall, that if we can ensure that they have the proper training and the most up-to-date equipment, you're going to get a better quality officer, and you're also going to get a faster response time and better service from your police and fire department. And we also should talk about how they're deployed. I really feel strongly that we should deploy them in a proactive manner. That is, that they go after crime and they stop the crime before it happens. They actually contact people on the street, suspicious vehicles, and they actually engage with the public. This is not arresting people. This is not harassing people. What this is proper proactive law enforcement to stop a crime before it happens. The other issue is homelessness. I think we've all seen it throughout the city. And there's another way to do it other than just arresting the homeless. There is a way to contact them and move them along into other areas, because an overall correction of this issue with homelessness is really a state and federal problem that can only be solved, I should say, with the state and federal money. But through local law enforcement, we can move the homeless along out of our neighborhoods and away from our businesses. There's been plenty of businesses in Riverside that have had to close because homeless people have just encamped themselves out in front of the business, and they have actually caused the business to move or close. Another issue is, yes, I agree with my panelists, is we need to bring in good quality companies so that we can have high paying jobs here. And that way we can increase our revenue, not through increasing in taxes, but through having more and more businesses. And how can we do that? Reality is that Riverside, the city of Riverside, is the best place to live right now because we are centrally located between Los Angeles, Orange County, and San Diego. We can bring in these businesses because this will be a place that doesn't have the regulation.
Dan, don't make me shut off your mic.
All right.
Okay, I have to stand up for that. everybody. My name is RM Ira. I'm a candidate for Riverside City Council. I'm a city commissioner, I'm an educator, I'm a nonprofit director over at Big Brothers Big Sisters of the Inland Empire, and I am a 12-year resident of Ward 2. I'm running because I think our city council needs to remember that they're public servants first, not public figures, and I want to bring that kind of energy back to our city council. I'm fighting for a few important things that I think are shared by a lot of residents here in the community. I spent 10 years working in neighborhood organizing. I served for a few years as president of the Riverside Neighborhood Partnership. I've been a member of the University Neighborhood Association for almost 8 years, and one of the youngest members in a lot of spaces that I'm in. But the issues remain the same for a lot of us. Costs are rising in the city. A lot of folks are feeling squeezed. A lot of folks are finding it hard to make ends meet. And I'm fighting to make Riverside a more affordable, a more safe, and a more accessible place to live. With regards to affordability, I want to make sure that we focus in on building more affordable housing in areas that it doesn't impact the neighborhood character. The city has tried so many times to shoehorn large projects into single-family communities where they will be impacted with traffic, with noise, with other things. I think we need to build along the existing R4 corridors that we have in Ward 2 and bring more of that affordable housing and offer rent relief to the many, many renters, of which I'm one of them, in our city who are feeling squeezed by the rising cost of rent. I also am fighting for cheaper utility bills. For any RPU ratepayers in here, our costs are going up by 5% every year for the next 5 years. So the average family will be paying roughly $200 to $300 more a year, which is a lot for a lot of our families here. And lastly, I'm fighting for lower cost childcare. Childcare is now the second highest cost behind rent for many people in our city, with the average cost ranging from $900 a month to $1,200 to $1,300 a month per child per month, which is insane. I will fight to make City Hall more accessible and push back on some of the trends we've seen in limiting public comment, in closing out community members from City Hall. That is the people's house, and it needs to be returned to its proper standing there. And I look forward to representing all of you actively, staying engaged, being responsive, and handling everything from dollars to donkeys for anyone who lives in Ward 2, making sure that we focus on the big issues and the small issues. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everybody. Apologies for my tardiness. We all know Troutline and Alessandro traffic has not gotten any smoother. So, just want to say my name is Kristen Montero. I am a fellow neighbor, lifelong resident here, grown up in Canyon Crest neighborhood. So most of you know me, not as a candidate, but as your neighbor and also founder of Blue Social, a software company that was co-founded in 2016 with the support of Mayor Dawson, Chuck Condor here right in the front, and a couple other city council members. I'm an entrepreneur. I've received my master's in business at the University of Redlands, and I've also helped to build multiple startups and helped to build family legacy throughout Riverside. Growing up in this specific pocket of Riverside gives me a unique perspective. I've seen how our boundaries have shifted and how our neighbors have evolved. I'm not looking at Ward 2 from a bird's eye view. I'm looking at it from a perspective of someone who has walked these sidewalks alongside you. I'm working to become your city council because I want to ensure that Riverside is somewhere where our children can grow up in a place that is safe, affordable, and full of character, in a place that has made me who I am today. My platform is built on 3 pillars: making our neighborhoods affordable and livable, continuing to support small businesses. We've all seen a lot of warehouse, a lot of chains starting to come in. As a business owner and your neighbor, I don't just offer ideas, I offer the accountability of someone who has to live with these decisions alongside you. So let's keep Riverside the city of opportunity. It is where my parents have made a living and an opportunity for me and my brothers, where I have attended Taft Elementary, Amelia Earhart, King High School, and have stayed right here in the community to serve you today. Thank you for your support.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're now going to switch boards and go to Ward 6. Oh yeah, we're going to ask you the questions. I just wanted to see if you were paying attention.
They got Brian.
So, okay, so we're going to start with the first question. So, most of you should have gotten these questions beforehand. So, there's the first question up on the screen, related to infrastructure and growth. How will you balance Riverside's economic growth, particularly in industrial, warehouse, and high-density housing development, with protecting neighborhood character, managing traffic congestion, and maintaining quality of life? Additionally, how will you respond to the mandates like the RENA requirements that limit local control over housing, parking, and environmental standards? And we'll start this time in the opposite end, so you can start at that end.
Thank you. All right, so this is definitely a huge issue for all of us for quite some time, over a decade.
And you're limited to 1 minute on this one.
Okay, all right. So, we must pivot away from warehouses. I have had brothers who have gone into the warehouse industry thinking the hour per rate mattered, but it didn't serve future career flow to be able to have and provide for their future families as they continue to grow within our city. So I'm here to advocate for clean tech and also businesses that support forward careers and also provide opportunities for both our working families and also upper class. Thank you.
Okay. I have spent the last 3 or 4 years working alongside Mission Grove Neighborhood Alliance, Riverside Neighbors Opposing Warehouses, and a lot of other groups on the front lines of the fight to make sure that the type of development we're bringing into the city respects neighborhood character, doesn't impact our quality of life, and actually supports the future growth and not just short-term investment that elected officials can showcase on their next political flyer. I will continue to be that advocate for you, working with business, working with the type of industry that wants to come here, but being mindful that the residents are the ones that are impacted by all of these decisions, and we're planting trees that the shade of which we may not sit in until much later. With RENA, we need to push back on the crazy numbers that we've seen come down from the state, while also prioritizing the already R4 zone corridors to make sure we are hitting some affordable housing numbers and creating good housing for young professionals. Thank you.
The big box truck companies are already here. There's very little that we can do about it at the moment to do anything but ensure that they are profitable and they continue. However, I would oppose any further growth in their businesses here. I would want to take a look at some studies for rerouting the trucking from off the city streets and exclusively, as much as possible, onto the freeways and out of our neighborhoods. The congestion is overwhelming. There is no way to get in and out of certain areas when the trucks are lining up. Regarding the RENA mandates, as I see it, that the state government is overwhelming local control. We cannot give up local control, even though I understand that there is penalties for us if we don't. We need to put together a coalition to ultimately fight against this because, my goodness. It's fast, doesn't it? I thought I was going
I think we have enough warehouses in our local areas. Anybody driven on the 215 lately? I would like to also cut back on trying to shoehorn these big apartment complexes into neighborhoods. What we're doing is we're trading a housing crisis for a future infrastructure crisis, a la Alessandra or Van Buren. What we need to do is, with the RENA problem, is exercise some of the control that we have, or the city of Riverside has some advantages other cities don't, because we're a charter city. And we haven't used, I don't believe we looked at using any of that leverage back on the state to try and mitigate that. We've also taken the lion's share of warehousing for Southern California. We should be able to use that as leverage also.
So we must approach growth with a way that actually makes sense for the people who already live here, those that are going to be impacted. That means making sure development goes in the right places, plan carefully, and making sure that we protect character as well as the quality of life that we value most. By adhering to our general plan and zoning rules, we can guide development to put them to the appropriate areas. We can require good design, and we make sure that it is community focused. In my time in government and as an elected official, I know firsthand that state mandates and state regulations, especially those that are unfunded, make it very difficult and limit local decision making. As we navigate through the state housing mandates, we need to ensure that, I know how hard it is.
Okay, if you didn't finish and you want to still comment on this, you have your closing minute or so on, so you can address it there. Okay, our second question related to community engagement and public trust. 2 years ago, the City Council adopted a community engagement policy to ensure public participation in major decisions. Critics say the Council hasn't followed this policy and has even restricted public engagement and transparency. Do you agree or disagree with these criticisms, and why? And provide any examples you might know.
You want to start in the middle?
Okay, we'll start with that.
I would agree with those criticisms. Over the last year or so, I've noticed that on the council's agenda, the consent item, or the consent calendar has grown from a dozen or maybe a little more than that items to the majority of the items. So there's no discussion on each item. You do your public 3-minute comment at the start, and you may have the 47th item on the agenda. So it doesn't really make sense. They spent 5 years in putting together a 52-page document on this, and I'm not sure that anybody uses it. What I would love to see is for each of these items that go on the agenda, the staff can put what specific engagement practice they use, and if it's none, then they can put none. I'm willing to bet that most of them are none.
Give me an extra second.
I read the strategic plan myself and a lot of the other documents that go along with this policy. And I don't see that there is a total lack of transparency, but there seems to be a slow walk to getting things open to the public. And I would like to see a lot more transparency, a lot more online transparency for people to be able to ask questions. And for the most part, I don't see as a major problem, because at this time, there is a ability to improve. There's always an ability to improve transparency in city government.
So I served as president of the Riverside Neighborhood Partnership during the time that we worked on the community engagement policy, and our members did a fantastic job of engaging and writing an incredible document that would allow citizens to have a real voice in the decisions that we make in this city. Much like some of the other folks that I mentioned here, the community engagement policy has fallen by the wayside, and I think we'll only remember it when it's time to shut up residents who are providing public comments. We need to make sure that the People's House functions as the People's House. City Hall belongs to the residents, I will make sure that we push back on some of the recent trends that we've seen on limiting public comment and limiting how much council members can speak on issues, and calling public meetings business meetings in public. This is a ridiculous notion to have in City Hall. The more access we have, the council members signed up to listen to you, and that's exactly what I will be doing. So.
All right, so I agree with the critics. A policy is only as good as its leadership who chooses to follow it. Very much so. Last night, we had our city council meeting. Some of you may have seen that not all of us were heard. I think this is something that does need to be addressed, given many other people were wanting to speak on the matter, and voices do matter. Needless to say, as an entrepreneur, I've built my career on engagement and communication, and I don't believe in just announcing decisions, but as a new direction for Riverside, I am committed to pre-decision transparency. I'll host monthly Ward 2 huddles that includes all our neighbors in the ward. I think it's great that we have the Mission Grove Neighborhood Alliance. As a child, I didn't know about it, honestly, until I became more involved as a businesswoman. Thank you.
Yes. So you hear a lot of ideas, but the reality is I'm the only candidate that's actually implemented these things. I have a proven track record of putting residents first. When I was first elected, I championed transparency and meaningful public engagement measures, including live streaming, like I mentioned, a vigorous communications and customer service plan, and strengthen outreach efforts so that ratepayers were not just informed, they were involved. In fact, when MGNA was formed just a few years ago, I made sure that Western engaged the community, and now they have a standing line item in the agenda. In my time as an elected official and in the county, I understand and I know that there's always room for improvement when we're engaging with the public. And I have done it. I have been personally accessible, and I'm sure there's plenty of you that can say that you have my cell phone number, you have my personal email. You can have it today too.
And here's my phone. Okay, we're now going to switch for Ward 6. So for Ward 2, we'll take a seat over here, and Ward 6 will come up. Candidates for being the first one to sacrifice themselves. You three gentlemen now should know the drill, right? Okay. So you each get 2 minutes. You'll each get 3 minutes, just like the others did. Changing out the signers. So introduce yourself, you have 3 minutes, and then we'll go through a few questions. Okay, folks, let's settle down, give these folks our attention. Big sacrifice up here running for office. My hat's off to all of them.
Can we have the room quiet, please?
Okay. Okay, the $1 million winner goes to... He got quiet then, didn't he? Okay. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Luis Hernandez. I want to thank all of you for coming out here tonight. These forums are a perfect example of what local government is really about. Neighbors like you coming together to shape the future of our communities. I made Riverside my home in '98 and have lived in Ward 6 for over 17 years. I have 3 wonderful children, one of which is seeking her master's degree in social work, 2 who attend school in the Alvarez district. I have over 10 years of experience in the nonprofit sector. Through my work at Blindness Support Services, teaching assistive technology, along with developing and overseeing a workforce readiness program, I've taught and trained, taught and prepared low vision, non-sighted adults and seniors to reach their goals of financial independence. I've also served on the Board of Ethics for almost 2 years. I was recently elected vice chair, and I also lead an ad hoc committee that's focused on strengthening the independence and enforcement power of the Board of Ethics, even though I'm running for City Council. I'm a member of the group of Riverside, RRR, Latino Network, and recently LUNA. I'm also a graduate of the RPD Citizens Academy. What does this translate to? A campaign built on community, transparency, principle, and a responsive leadership that is genuinely interested in genuinely hearing what your different perspectives and ideas. Through my involvement in all these different community groups and organizations, I hear the major concerns of the residents and business owners in my ward and throughout the city. Public safety, the homeless crisis, infrastructure, greater job opportunities. These are some of the major issues that I hear. I will work to clean up our neighborhoods and fix our roads. I'll also work to bring greater job opportunities to Ward 6, that focus on the medical field and tech industries. One of the major things that, one of the things that go hand in hand is public safety and the unhoused crisis.
Time's up.
Hello everyone, thank you for having me here today. My name is Oz Puerta and I'm your candidate for Ward 6 City Council. I'm a first generation citizen. I moved to Riverside. Our family moved to Riverside when I was about 10 years old. And in my 20+ years of history here in this city, I've volunteered for Parks and Recreation. I've worked for the City of Riverside Parks and Recreation. I currently manage a business improvement district in Arlington. I am your vice president of the Arlington Business Council, your president of the Arlington Community Action Group, your president of Arlington Temporary Assistance, your chamber ambassador for the Greater Riverside Chamber of Commerce. I sit on the RUSD's Measure O Oversight Committee. I sit on Keep Riverside Clean and Beautiful Board of Directors, and I sit on the City of Riverside Museum's Immigration Exhibit Advisory Board. Make no mistake, I'm involved. The reason I'm running for City Council is because I feel that I am as involved as I can be in my current capacity, in my current roles. So if I want to do more, if I want to make a bigger change, if I want to make a bigger impact, then I need to take on more responsibility. I'm already working for you. I just want the opportunity to represent you on Riverside City Council. In my work with the Arlington Business Partnership, we focus on things like engaging city leadership so they know what issues are going on in that community. We have about 1,000 businesses in the Arlington Business District, and I work with all of them. We do the Riverside Chili Cook-Off. We repaint bus shelters. We do weekly community cleanups. When there's vagrancy, encampments, and the debris that's left behind there, we go and we clean it up. And this year, we're looking forward to adding pressure washing within our district 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. My focus is on beautification, cleaning up our streets, making families feel safe so you can walk down the street and be proud of the city you live in. I want to instill community pride back in the city if you let me represent you for Ward 6 City Council. Thank you.
All right, that was a lot. Thanks, Oz.
And so good evening, everybody. My name is William, and I am a resident of the South Atlantis neighborhood. I'm not a career politician. I'm an engineer, and I do work in the medical device field. I work at Edwards Life Science. And I'm not here to give a polished campaign speech, but I am here because I do believe that when we pay our taxes and we follow the rules, that we should be able to expect the basics of return. Right now, it feels like there is a gap between the reality that we see in our streets and the decisions that are made in City Hall, often at 1 p.m. on a Tuesday when most of us are at work. I've spent years with my wife living here and raising my family in this community, and when I walk around our block, I use a simple standard that I call the stroller test. If a parent can't safely push a stroller down the sidewalk, or if a senior can't get to their mailbox without going over a broken pavement, then I don't think that the city's meeting its core responsibilities. My background is in solving problems and managing budgets and getting things done on time. And so I want to bring that same practical roll up your sleeves here and representing you. Within the last year, I am the lead for the Latino Community Foundation, and we did open up an Inland Empire Giving Circle. And so every single member, we donate $1,000 a year, and we pull up a fund. And this year, we pulled up $34,000, and we gave it to 4 nonprofits. So to me, that's a really impactful thing. I serve the youth community out in Orange County, and I need to be able to bring all of the things that I've learned, because a lot of our youth are working out there, and I need to bring that here to Riverside. And so we do need a lot of the CEOs in our business communities to get together and provide internships to our local residents, because they're doing that as well. And if they're building up their residents, well, we're not going to be able to work remotely because they're going to have the jobs. And so we need to bring in our innovation industries here. We have UCR, we have CBU, we have La Sierra. We have a wonderful community here. And so I want to be part of that growth, and I have my kids, and they have to grow here, and I do not want them to be driving to LA and to Orange County. And so my platform is on community and integrity, and to me, integrity means that you shouldn't have to go looking for information. I've been doing that within the last year. And so I'm advocating for a residence receipt, and it's just a simple concept. Something clear, something in plain English, and to really just show you where your tax dollars are going. And so I want you to know exactly why I voted yes or no on your behalf. And I'm not interested in the political games. I'm interested in the accountability and making sure that every single ward gets a fair share. So I'm running to be a representative who stays grounded in the needs of our neighborhoods. I want to make sure that our parks are safe, our streets are paved, and our voices are heard. So regardless of our work schedule, I'm asking for your vote so that we can get back to the basics and ensure Riverside works for the people who live there. So my name is William, and I look forward to earning your trust.
Okay, thank you guys. So we'll start again now with the first question on infrastructure and growth. I'm not going to read it again. Everybody's got it. So, William, we can start with you from that end. You have 1 minute for this.
Thank you, and thank you for sending the question ahead of time. And so my proposal is to balance economic growth. We need to be strategic and not reactionary. And so industrial and warehouse development belongs in our designated logistical corridors, and I don't want it to be encroaching in our backyards and schools for our established neighbors. We need these jobs, but we can't sacrifice air quality and traffic to get there. Regarding housing, the way that we respond to state RENA mandates by concentrating high-density development around our transit corridors and marketplace hubs. This isn't just about compliance, it's about insulating our single-family neighbors from overdevelopment by building where infrastructure already exists. And so finally, for traffic and quality of life, those are my benchmarks, because I do have a family and I do have kids. And so it's very important to me, as much as it's important to the grandparents, the kids, and their kids. And so every project must pass a stroller test, and if new development makes a street less safe for families or adds gridlock to a neighborhood, it's a design failure.
Yes. I like to stand up. I like to sit down. Make no mistake, Riverside's growing. That's just reality. Now, the question is, will that growth happen with neighborhoods or to them? We need to be honest about things like traffic impacts, infrastructure capacity, and we need to make sure that we take advantage of toolkits that already exist for the city of Riverside. We are in Foreign Trade Zone 186. What that means is whether you agree or disagree with tariffs, we can take advantage of them. We can tell companies that have high-paying jobs to come to Riverside, as the city's already been doing, to say, you will save money on tariffs, but also Riverside has great universities and colleges. We can also supply the human capital that needs to sustain these businesses. If we plan responsibly, we can make Riverside full circle. We can have our kids grow up in Riverside, go to school in Riverside, work in Riverside, buy their first home in Riverside, and have full circle Riverside. So, not too much.
So my answer is going to be pretty straightforward and simple. I believe that Riverside can grow economically. At the same time, I believe we can protect the character of our neighborhoods. All that has to be done is put some real thought into what projects are being put forward and where they go. Obviously, it has to meet community standards along with environmental standards, but more importantly is listening to residents' feedback as far as where these projects go and how they're implemented. When it comes to the mandates, their mandates, and if we don't follow them, we expose ourselves to even more mandates. So while we can still comply with them, we can make sure that we advocate for where these projects go and how they're placed.
Okay, great, you're getting this down. 2 seconds to spare. Okay. Everyone's answered the first question, right? So on to the second question. So, question number 2 has to do with community engagement and public trust. Again, I'm not going to read it again, but you decide who wants to go first. You got a minute.
I'm probably going to talk too much again.
Okay.
Sorry. So I've heard criticism on the community engagement policy, and I think that when people feel that a decision has already been made before it goes to council, that's when trust is broken. So we need to be transparent. We need to continue engaging the community in more ways. We can't limit public comment. You know, as much as everyone is here today, I'm okay with staying late on Tuesday night to make sure everyone's heard and every phone call is answered. Because we're representing you, which means that if we don't get feedback from you, then we're not making the right decision for you. So if I'm elected to Ward 6 City Council, I will fight to make sure that we hear you, we stay late if we have to, and we're available and we come to you, we bring City Hall to you. Thank you.
So I want you guys to remember me as a community leader and somebody who listens to the community. And I've been listening to underserved communities and early career individuals for the last 5 years. And while serving, or when I want to serve the city, the first barrier that I have seen from the city council is accessibility. When the council schedules major votes during 1 p.m. or 3 p.m. sessions, it is silencing the working class families from either La Sierra or Sycamore Highlands who keep the city running. You can't claim to value engagement while the doors are effectively locked for anyone with a 9 to 5. The second barrier that I've seen is clarity. Transparency isn't just about dumping a 500-page PDF on a website. True integrity means providing a resident receipt, something clear, a digital dashboard, showing exactly where tax dollars are being spent in every single neighborhood. We need to move forward from notifying the public to partnering with them. And I will advocate for evening sunlight sessions and data-driven reporting to make city business accessible.
Standing up, you seem to talk more. Go ahead.
I'll stay seated because I like being eye level with everyone and seeing their faces. So a good example of this was the city council meeting I attended yesterday where everyone didn't get the opportunity to speak. That everything was limited as far as went down from 3 minutes to 2 minutes for public comment. There was a cutoff, which left a lot of people feeling left out and that their voice wasn't heard. That doesn't feel good. I was one of those individuals that was left out along with many other people, and it's important that we make sure that everyone has a voice and everyone gets heard. If you don't want to spend the night there, when there's something important that people want to talk about, don't run for city council.
Okay, thank you. I think you've all given your comments, answered your 3 questions, so get up and get out of here. No. Okay. Stick around and stay up right here. Ward 4 will come up now. So don't take the microphone.
We're so privileged.
Can we have it quiet, please, so that we can get started? The sooner we can get started, the sooner everybody can
Okay.
go.
This is your Ward 4 candidates, again, 3 minutes, and then 1 minute for each of the questions. So, Rich, you took the hot spot, you can start.
Thank you so much. Good evening. My name is Rich Vandenberg, and I'm running for Riverside City Council in Ward 4. I believe Riverside is at its best when residents, businesses, and City Hall are all pulling in the same direction. What I mean by that is simple. When residents feel heard, when businesses feel supported, and when City Hall is accountable and transparent, we make the best decisions. I'm a father of 3 adult children, college graduates starting families of their own, a husband of almost 27 years, and a business owner. I'm a managing partner and mortgage loan originator with Guild Mortgage, which is off of Orange Crest, serving this community for 21 years. My wife and I agreed when our kids were grown, we were going to get involved. For her, that meant going back to college. She got a degree. She's teaching 3rd grade at Jackson Elementary School. And for me, it meant joining local boards, commissions, nonprofit organizations, and community organizations, 14 to be exact. We focus on budgeting, infrastructure, conservation, and neighborhood well-being. My priorities are straightforward. Public safety that's effective and accountable, economic development that's thoughtful and neighborhood appropriate, and infrastructure planning that's proactive instead of reactive. I'm thankful to be here tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, Riverside. I'm Jessica Katawi, and I'm running for City Council, Ward 4. I ran for mayor a couple of years ago, so my name may be familiar to you. And since then, I have been very involved with the community. I'm the president of the Riverside Neighborhood Partnership. I'm on the board of the Neighbors Better Together, and I'm on the board for the Mission Grove Neighborhood Alliance, who put this event on tonight. And I initially was not planning on running. However, I'm concerned about a couple of issues, and I'm not sure we're going to get the votes that we want. And the 2 concerns that I have are the RTRP and the warehouses in Ward 4. If you're not familiar with RTRP, it is a massive project that Southern California Edison wants to put up power lines throughout Riverside, which can be very dangerous to us, which could potentially be the next Altadena. And we don't want that here in Riverside, and it's very important that we have people on the city council that are going to vote against that. My platforms include safety, solutions, and community. And so safety starts with traffic. Who got stuck on Alessandro and Troutline? We have the worst traffic here. And rather than me just telling you about the issues, I actually have some solutions. I recently reached out to Public Works to see if Overlook could potentially be built. Could we finish that bridge and alleviate some of the traffic? Also, I spoke to the Senator Kelly on Monday, and I talked to him about the 215 and the 60, because really that's what's causing all the traffic that's coming through Ward 4, and he gave me some great ideas that I would love to implement. And then there's the risk of fires. You know, Ward 4 is the highest at risk for fires, and so I have a meeting on the 20th with the fire chief to discuss some ideas. But the senator, he was a fire chief, and he told me that there's an organization called CCC that will come out and clean the brush for free. Let's do it, right? It's about getting the job done. I'm all about solutions, not just talking about them, but actually getting them done and working towards them. Last is community. Ward 4 has no events going on. I'm currently working on getting a farmer's market into our ward, and I see my time getting almost ending, so I'm gonna try to hurry up. I just want to say I've lived in the same neighborhood for 18 years. I've been a resident in Riverside since I was 4. I'm not going anywhere, and that is why I am committed to protecting the city that I love, and that's why I'm running for city council. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming. I'm going to stand for the first one. I may sit down after the Santa Claus gave me a new knee for Christmas. Thank you all for being here. You know, I've been serving the city of Riverside for 18 years at the City Hall. 10 as the field director for Councilman Chris MacArthur, and 8 years serving Ward 4. When I ran in 2017, I said I ran for 4 reasons. Those reasons were Virginia, Annalise, William, and Caroline, my 4 grandchildren. I now have a 5th one, Maddie. I am running and going to get elected because I'm going to make this city good for them when Grandpa's dead. They're going to know that this city is a place that they can safely live, it's financially viable, and it's a place to live, work, and play. Nobody has ever, I think, in my time there, been more active without Frank's my field director back there. Frank's my partner. He does everything for me except sit in the days and push a yes. We are the most responsive people of anyone on the council. We're out there talking with you, we're out there meeting with you, we're out there talking about what we can do for Ward 4. You know, it's difficult to stand here in a few minutes and just talk about what we can do because there are 7 council members all fighting for the same pot of money. And we're doing the absolute best that we can in all the wards for the city of Riverside. I'm elected by Ward 4, but I work for Ward 1 and Ward 3 and Ward 6 and every other one because my vote may be the one that swings it left or right. And what I say in my vote is going to be for the city's policy. I should never, and I never have, told you what I did to you. I always ask you, what do you need? What can I do for you? If the answer is, I'm good right now, I will disappear and go away. I'm not going to be out there bothering you every day. I'm not going to be the one that says, oh, look at me, look what I just did, come see my new thing. That's not the way I work. I've been serving all my life. I served as a child through my church. I served in the military. I served in the financial world. Now I'm serving the city of Riverside. This is where God put me to serve. And this is what I love to do. This is what I'm going to do. And this is what gets me up every morning now to move, to work, to go on. We are there for you. Call us. Talk to us. Send us an email. I don't do Facebook. I don't do social media because I can't translate that to the city system. If you email me, you text me, I can put that into the system, create an SRO, and track what happens. And that's how we work with you. That's how we get the information back to you when you have these questions that come to us. So I love Riverside. When I retired from the military, I could have gone anywhere in the world one time before it would have taken me. Greatest 4-letter word in my life is love. Second 4-letter word is home. Riverside is our home. This is where we decided to stay when I retired. I've been here 40 years. And this is where I will be buried someday, Riverside National Cemetery. This is my home. And I will serve you to the day I die. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chuck. You might as well take the first question, Chuck, on infrastructure and growth. If you're familiar with that.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to sit down. My knee is talking to me. You know, the thing I really want to talk about is the RHNA numbers. Raise your hand if you don't even know what RHNA stands for. Oh, good. We got a lot of people that do understand. RHNA is forced upon us by Sacramento. And if you look at, we've lost our ability for self-control because some of the ways the city has fought against the GFT. We've given up our rights here as a charter city in too many ways. Look at Huntington Beach. Huntington Beach is standing up for all of us and fighting RHNA, and they're getting beat every damn time in the courts. and it's costing a lot of money. But damn it, they're standing their ground and saying, we have local control. When I was a sophomore in high school, I wrote a paper, and I was the one that won the high school competition. And I spent a day in Boston with the governor, and my paper was on local control as a sophomore. I understood what local control means to a city, to be able to be in control for its citizens. We have given away too much of that. We need to keep fighting, elect people to go to Sacramento that will fight for us.
State housing mandates like RHNA are very real. If we don't meet those requirements, the state steps in and takes control. And what that means, our community concerns are no longer their priority. They won't design projects around our traffic issues, neighborhood character, or quality of life, and that's not good for Riverside. That's why it's critical that we make these decisions locally before they're made for us. I do not support warehouses next to homes or schools. They increase traffic, pollution, and safety concerns, and they do not belong in residential communities. Ward 4 is beautiful, and my goal is to protect that beauty, keep families safe, and once we address traffic, make it even better. My focus is on the greater good, thoughtful planning, local control, and improving quality of life for everyone.
I believe in intentional growth, meaning where we build matters just as much as what we build. High-density housing and industrial projects belong in areas with the right roads, services, and access to transportation, not in the middle of residential neighborhoods without a clear plan. When it comes to RHNA, meeting state mandates should never mean abandoning common sense at the local level. Riverside's status as a certified local government gives us important protections for our historic resources. And while it doesn't change our responsibility to comply with state housing mandates, it does change how we comply by directing those projects to the right areas and protecting neighborhood character through careful planning.
Okay, thanks, Rich. And you can start with the second question on community engagement and public trust.
I understand why many residents feel frustrated, and those concerns deserve to be taken seriously. The city adopted a community engagement policy with the right intent, but in practice, it hasn't been applied consistently. Too often, people feel brought in after decisions have already been made, particularly in land use projects, and that hurts public trust. One example is the housing project on Victoria Avenue. That was pulled and rescheduled after the agenda was already published, leaving Newton residents confused about when their opportunity would be to give public comment. True engagement means involving residents early, being clear and transparent, and as a council member, I would treat public engagement as a tool for making better decisions, not a box to check.
I agree with the criticism that the City Council has not consistently followed its community engagement policy. A clear example is what happened on May 6, 2025 under item 21G, when the council changed its rules of procedure to prohibit the public from using technology during their 3 minutes of public comment, including showing videos or images. This decision directly limited how residents can share important concerns. One of the videos shared was the RTRP going overhead. That's not a minor issue, that's a public safety and quality of life issue. I believe that during those 3 minutes, residents should be allowed to communicate however they choose. Restricting visuals or videos weakens public input and undermines transparency. Many community groups that I'm a part of were deeply upset by this decision. To me, this was a moment where the community's voice was taken away, and that's not okay. If we truly value engagement, we need to expand.
All right, here we go, Grant. So I think that community engagement policy has been working. The mayor last night, I didn't agree with her on the 1.5 hour. I asked her to go 2 hours, but she went 1.5. And what she didn't say was anybody's cards who were not chosen to speak. Your name and your position is being put into the record for posterity. So if Bill Jones didn't get to speak and he opposed, it'll say in the minutes, for posterity, Bill Jones opposed that item. Frank and I are, again, the most accessible people. If you've got an item you want pulled from consent calendar to talk about, the consent calendar is the average everyday stuff. Call us, email us, text us, and convince us it's something to pull. Maybe we have the answer that you don't know, we can tell you why it's on consent. But we are absolutely transparent. Frank and I answer our phones, we sleep with them, we answer them all the time, we're out in the field every day, we're engaging with people every day. And community, transparency, and engagement is the #1 thing that I believe Frank and I do best of anybody in the council.
Okay, thank you. So, I'm sorry, I've been fired. Okay, so we're now going to go with questions from you, the crowd, with the cards that you wrote in. There's an overwhelming response from one topic that we've got a number of cards on, and my hat's off to the crowd, because you were all paying attention either at the meeting yesterday of the city council, or certainly tuned into it, with the vote on the Quality Inn for the homeless shelter program. And so the questions are all overwhelming. I'll use one of them here. Last night, the city council voted no to state funding for homeless assistance housing. As a council member, how would you have voted for this measure, and how would you address this issue in Riverside? I'm going to let, Chuck was there and he voted, so I'm going to let him go first and give us a little more insight into it. We'll certainly know how he voted, he's going to tell us, and then let the rest of you all address it and how you might vote.
So we have zoning codes in this city to protect the quality of life, to protect our neighborhood, to protect our businesses. University Ave, there's not one home, not one residence on University Ave. It is a commercial, it is a retail zone between University and downtown. It is not a place to put it. You want to put homeless people there, it just wasn't the thing. Because if you heard, they weren't responsible for even making sure that they were getting any type of care. I did vote no. It's the wrong place to put it. We're going to find a place for it. I'm the one that started the homeless IE forum that we've been having since 2019. We didn't do it during COVID. The next one is February 25th. I've been working with the Faith Summit for the homeless. I co-sponsored and co-created that. We need to help the homeless. It is cruel and unusual punishment the way we treat them out there now. But putting them on University is not the right thing to do. It was rushed through by a certain individual who was trying to make it as a campaign piece for her going to Sacramento.
I would have voted yes, and the reason is because I actually heard Clarissa speak at one of our NBT meetings, and she said it was intended for seniors and veterans. Why are we not taking care of our seniors that are living on fixed income? That's why they're going to be homeless. We should be taking care of them. Now, if you guys aren't aware, the RHNA or RHNA, by 2029, Riverside County has to have over 40,000 homes built. That means if we don't get that done, they're going to come in and do what they want with our Riverside. And we have to do this, and that could have potentially been a step closer to getting there. And one of my thoughts were, why not screen the people that go in so we do ensure they are seniors and veterans, as the same way that Clarissa said. But yes, I would have voted yes.
I too would have voted in favor of that project. The concerns I heard, attracting homelessness, it's already there. The drug addicts, it's already there. We're not solving anything by not voting yes on this project. This was going to be managed. It was not a homeless shelter. It wasn't. We have this idea of who's going to fill these rooms up. And it's typically the people we see most often on the streets who are yelling, intoxicated. Those people don't want to be housed. Those aren't the ones that are going to go in these homes. Through the Leadership Riverside program last year, I got to visit a homeless shelter on 6th Street. I met families. I saw a bus pull up with a load of kids who came home to their homeless shelter. That's heartbreaking. Those are the kids who are going to be home, housed, not the yelling drunks who don't want to be there anyway. The idea that this isn't the right place, what is the right place? If not University, then where? We're all NIMBYs. We don't want it in our backyards. I take Clarissa's stance on this in particular. I give a lot of weight to it. This is her ward. She was elected to represent that ward. She wants it there. I'm going to put some weight into that as well. Thank you.
And the applause for later, please. Okay, thank you, Ward 4 candidates for now. Well, I'm closing comments pretty soon. I want to let the others address this question I thought would you. Okay, so, Ward. Huh? No, we'll do the closings. Like
Would it
I'm on
be
there
easier
already.
just for us to do the closing now?
What?
Why don't they do their closing now?
You want to do your closing?
Yeah, that would be
Who's running this meeting anyway?
Hey, I'm on the board too, so we can.
Perfect city council member, tell everybody what you do. Okay. All right, go ahead, do your closing one. Oh, one thing I need to remember while Rich is finding that, 2 candidates did not show for Ward 6, Norma Morales. We got a response, but Barry Dawes intended to be here. He's not here because of family emergency. He called us just a few minutes before the meeting, so I want everyone to be aware of that.
I'm a Riverside native. I was raised by a single mom along with my 3 younger sisters. My mom was a waitress, provided for us, and we never had a lot. We always had enough. My mom taught me the importance of hard work, perseverance, and love for the community. My community raised me. My wife has a similar upbringing. She was raised by a single mom, a first-generation immigrant. My wife and I agreed early on, which I explained earlier, when we had time, we were going to give back. My wife understands the sacrifices this is going to be on our time, and I do as well. I love this community. I love this city. I'm not running because I think I'm the smartest guy in the room. I'm not running because I think I have all the answers. I'm running because I listen, because I ask questions, and because I believe good decisions come from bringing people together. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here tonight, and I did write down the answers and some of this because the time is not long enough, so I'm going to read this quickly. We are facing an important decision, one that will shape not only Ward 4, but the future of our entire city, as you can see. The person you elect to this seat will have a real impact on the decisions that affect our neighborhoods, our families, and our quality of life. I cannot stress enough how critical issues like the RTRP are and how important it is that our next representative makes decisions that truly reflect the needs and concerns of the people. I'm running because I believe in putting residents first and protecting the quality of life we all deserve. I'm asking for your trust and your support so I can show you what true public service looks like. Leadership that listens, follows through, and takes action. As your Ward 4 City Council representative, I commit to holding monthly community meetings to hear your concerns, work toward real solutions, and take meaningful action. I've already done this work, meeting with the Chief of Police, communicating with senators, and working directly with Public Works to address issues in our community. I don't see this as a job, I see it as a responsibility and a privilege to lead with care, integrity, and accountability. My campaign is for the people, funded by the people. I will not accept money from large corporations. If you're ready for a leader who doesn't just talk but proves it through action, as I have for years, I respectfully ask for your vote. My name is Jessica Catelli. Thank you.
There you go. Thank you. Good evening again, everyone. It's been my honor to serve the people for 18 years in this city, and I'm going to continue to do that. We have a good city. This city is financially viable right now. We've got a great budget. We worked hard on that. My priorities, again, are public safety, financial liability. I meet with the Chief of Police. I'm having lunch with the Fire Chief next week. If you heard us yesterday at the Fire Master Plan, we've been doing everything we can, and the number one priority of the Fire Chief and myself right now, and it was said on last night, is getting in another fire station up here in Ward 4. We are horribly underserved in Ward 4, and we will get that fire station. It's a difficult thing to stand here and just say how easy this is to do. It's not. There are so many of us in the council that all are trying to serve our communities out of one bucket of money. But I'm working hard. I've done a lot for the city in this neighborhood. I'll continue to fight for you, and not just for you. I'm going to fight for the whole damn city because I work for the city of Riverside. I work for everybody, and this is where God has put me to do this. As a widower now, I see my position is to keep working, doing the things that the Lord wants me to do here in the city for people. And with His blessing, with His strength, I will continue to do this. And we have always been accessible. We're always there for the people to call, text, and those of you that have called us, you know that we answer you right away, unlike that. So God bless you all. Thank you.
Okay. Ward 4, get out. Ward 6, come on, 3 gentlemen from Ward 6. Okay, you all heard the question, the vote yesterday, right?
Yeah, please.
Okay, here we go. Last night, the City Council voted no on the state funding for the homeless assistance housing for Equality Inn. As a council member, how would you have voted this on this measure, and how would you address the unhoused issue in Riverside? And 1 minute each. Go ahead.
I would have voted no on yesterday's project, and I'll tell you why. At the end of the day, I engaged directly with the homeless community, and I've seen the section of that community that is resistant to services. I don't believe in the housing first model. I believe that people need access to treatment and services so that they can get better. Housing is definitely a crisis and definitely an issue, but it's not the root cause of the problem. I'm out there on the streets talking to these people. They don't care. We saw the child star in Ward 6 that went viral. He got offered services by fellow actors, by the city, by police, by every organization you can think of, and he turned them down. They don't want him. LA is getting ready to host the Olympics. They're gonna clean house. A lot of homeless there. We really want to send a message that, hey, bring them on to Riverside. We'll let you do what you want.
So I actually attended yesterday's city council meeting, and I did actually speak. I voted yes for it because I want our senior population to have the services that they need. And I want them to, if they're having mental issues or if they're distressed, I want them to be housed and I want them to feel comfortable. Looking at some of the data, it looked like it was a good place, but some of the city council members did bring up a lot of good points. There was a lot of things that weren't looked at. There was the community that didn't feel like they were heard. And honestly, that's very important. I wanted the investment to come in because I thought it was a good idea. But after listening to the community, they didn't feel heard. And so that kind of hurt me because we need everybody to be heard and we need everybody to have a voice.
Plain and simple, I would have voted yes. I understand how some people feel about the issue, but the reality is that I don't understand how people don't want homeless on the street, but yet you don't want to provide a safe place for them to stay. There are different levels of homelessness. There are individuals who don't want help. There are individuals who fell on hard times. And there are individuals who just need a little helping hand to get back on their feet. If you're genuine about helping them with drug addiction or other issues, then provide that resource as well. It doesn't have to be one or the other. If you're homeless and you get help with drug addiction, guess what? After that, you're still homeless. It doesn't make any sense to me, and we really need to come up with long-term solutions to solve this issue.
Okay, great. Now you can do your closing statement. You each have a minute. So, go ahead and start.
All right. So, I'm going to be blunt. I'm a man of few words. I get straight to the point because I like to listen more than speak. I want to hear different perspectives. I want to hear different opinions. I want to hear what you have to say. Just because I'm 6 feet, 250 pounds, and have the worst case of RBF you've probably ever seen on a human being, doesn't mean you can't approach me. I'm very approachable. Come talk to me. Come ask me how I feel about certain subjects. I want to get that interaction from people in my ward, from people in the city. It's important to me to hear what individuals have to say. This is what you will get if you elect me, and that is the
Right, didn't they get a minute and a half in Ward 4?
Yeah, they're in Ward 6.
Huh?
They're in Ward 6.
Word 6 on
Yeah,
the
we only get a
Yeah,
minute.
we'll get a minute and a half in last year. So I just want you guys to remember that I'm mainly focusing on youth development. I think Ward 6 does need a lot more programs for our high schoolers, the people that are going to Riverside Community College, and for the recent graduates of universities. And so I've had a lot of opportunities in Orange County to connect the youth to really good paying jobs. But when I moved out here to Riverside, now I have to take the train out to Orange County, and I can't get a job out here. So I want to bridge the gap between the Riverside Chamber of Commerce. I want to be able to work with our public organizations, with our university institutes, and try to get some of the really big corporations to keep providing more internships for our residents. And so if you vote for me, I'll be sure to be a voice for those really career individuals. Thanks.
Thank you guys for having me here again. Thank you to my wife. You know, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have the strength to do all this. I wouldn't have the strength to be this involved. So thank you again. This isn't about politics for me. This is about serving you. This community embraced me when I thought my opportunities were to work in warehouses and low-paying jobs the way my parents taught me. I've been blessed by having the opportunity to work for the city, to work for the businesses of these districts. And you know what? I only applied for the first job. After that, I was hired by referral all the way to where I am right now. That says something about my character. If you don't believe me, ask your neighbors around you that are sitting here today. Some of you guys know me, and you know the work I've already done. I don't want the title. I want to serve you. My name is Oz Porta. I'm here to help.
Okay, thank you guys. You're out of here. You started the day, you will end the day. So, nobody leave, we've got 10 minutes left. Sergeant Brown, lock the door. Okay, read the question again on the homeless shelter. Last night, the city council voted no to state funding for homeless assistance housing that was pulled in. As a council member, how would you have voted for this measure, and how would you address the issue of unhoused people in Riverside? Okay?
So what I have been on the wrong end of a vote before, where it was just me and nobody else supporting me. So I completely understand what that feels like. And most of you have seen this when it comes to rate increases, right? Generally, I am the lone wolf when it comes to that type of a vote. What I am going to commit to you is that I will never take a vote without community engagement, without making sure that I know what the residents of that area need and want to see in those neighborhoods. The reality is, I live in Ward 2, I don't live in all of Ward 2. Therefore, the decisions I'm making are not Gracie's decisions, they are the Ward 2 residents' decisions. That is what I've done at Western, and I will continue to do when I'm at City Hall.
How would you vote last night, yes or no?
I wasn't there, I didn't talk to anybody about that project. I'm not familiar with it.
And we have an answer. I would have voted no last night because I'm confused about who this was for. I've heard that it's for veterans and seniors only, and then I've heard from other people that it's people right out of rehab are eligible to get into this. And so I didn't follow it closely enough, so, but the concept is exactly, I think, is needed, but I would not have had it on University Avenue. That's the gateway from downtown to UCR. You don't need a housing project there. You know, they're a couple blocks off the street. You know, there's a lot of places, if you're gonna have that much money, you can build the thing with 150 rooms in it or whatever you gotta do. But on University Avenue, with that, to keep that gateway concept that they've had for 25 years, you need to keep that there.
I would have voted no. This is the reason why. Venice Beach, Los Angeles, San Diego, they've all done the same thing, and the homeless population has only increased. I went to a law enforcement symposium about 10 years ago regarding this in San Diego. They went with that route, and all they had is more homeless arriving. Another point regarding the VA. Veterans Administration will take their veterans off the street and house them and give them treatment. I've personally dealt with this in my 28 years of law enforcement. I had a veteran who refused any kind of treatment and sadly enough had died due to a cold snap because he did not want the Veterans Administration to help him. The VA told me personally, we'll do everything for this gentleman, but he has to say yes. He has to give consent. He did not.
Unfortunately, my time's up.
My answer is that I would have voted resoundingly yes to support this project. And the only reason that folks up here are answering no or giving no answer is because they're worried about how it might affect them politically, and they're worried about where their donors' monies are coming from. I'm not worried about that. I don't let corporate PACs, I don't let special interests control my decision making. My primary focus is being a voice for the residents that elected me and put me into office. This was the most significant investment we could have made in homelessness in a generation in this city. And we chose to turn away from a project that was only one of 5 in the state of California that was approved. What does that tell the state? All our future attempts at getting money to solve the critical issues in our community are jeopardized because a few council members chose to put special interests over people.
Thanks, Aaron. Yes, so it's time for Riverside to have a new direction, a new voice and leadership. I would have said yes to agenda item number 24, both for our residents and also to make sure that it works for both the East Side business community as well. There was a lot of concerns. There's actually quite a few facts that were brought up last minute right before the decision was made. Social responsibility starts with our current workers in the project it impacts. Nobody talked about the workers who actually are working day in, day out, who would be misplaced, who have worked at that Quality Inn their whole entire lives. So how can we move forward together that helps the businesses and the communities like Beverly Bailey, who owned the Farmhouse Collective? Her family chose to invest into a part of Ward 2 that is now revitalizing. We need to take steps that continue to move forward in directions that we agree on together, not take steps back. Thank you, and God bless.
Okay, about 1 minute for closing statements, and we can start at that end.
As we close tonight, I want you to think about what representation actually means. You've heard from longtime residents and policy experts, but I am the only person on this stage who can tell you what it's like to grow up in the classrooms of Taft Elementary. I'm the only one who remembers when our streets felt a little quieter and our local shops felt a little more like family. I know what it's like when the boundaries of our lives don't perfectly align with the lines on a city map. Like many of our own children and grandchildren, my journey took me from King High School to Citrus Hill as our region grew and shifted. I've seen Riverside from the inside out, and from the edge of the city looking back in. That experience didn't make me less of a Riversider. It made me more determined to protect the community that gave me my start. I'm not running to use this seat as a stepping stone. I'm running because I want to ensure that when the next generation of Taft kids grow up, they can actually afford to stay here. That also includes Thomas Rivera. I want them to have the same opportunities I had, but in a city that is safer, more transparent, and accountable to all residents. Thank you.
My name is Aram Ira, and I'm running to be your next Riverside Ward 2 City Council member. I've lived in this district for over 12 years. I'm a UCR graduate. I chose to stay in Riverside because of the opportunities it afforded me that I didn't have back home. I moved to the city and chose to stay here because it was affordable, because you could still open a business, buy a home, and raise a family. That's quickly becoming untrue for a lot of our residents here in the city. The costs are skyrocketing. Our city council seems to be disconnected from everyday issues, and they constantly vote against the residents' wishes, and they silence residents. I'm fighting to be your champion at City Hall. I'm not funded by corporate PACs. I'm not funded by special interest groups. I'm backed by the residents that have spent over a decade working alongside in community groups, in neighborhood spaces, and on issues that matter to us all. I would be grateful and honored to earn your endorsement and vote, and appreciate the opportunity to appear. Thank you.
Again, I'm Dan Flores. I'm running for City Council in Ward 2. I think, like all of you, we just want to be able to live in our city peacefully, safely, and understand that the government's going to be responsive and transparent. We want to feel safe in our city, but we also want to make sure that they're listening to us and they're carrying out our will. I don't believe that the city at any time has done anything that would be harmful to us, but with the box companies that come in, the heavy traffic, the tearing up of the roads, I think all these things diminish our quality of life. The amount of homeless that are on the streets is a bit shocking, and it's too bad that the safe house or the house that was going to be constructed or renovated didn't come through. But I think that we should all take a look at, my goodness.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mike Ball, and as you can obviously guess, I'm running for Ward 2. A couple of initiatives I would really like to work on in my time on City Council. One is to get a police station up on top of the hill. You talk to the police officers, I ask them, and I've asked the city manager, what do you think it takes to get from downtown, because we're served by downtown and Lincoln, to get up here at 5 o'clock? They said half hour with lights siren, because Alexander was blocked both ways, Van Buren was blocked both ways. There's no way up here. We need a police station up here. 2, I would like to see the city residents of Riverside up in Ward 2 and Ward 4, their WMWD customers, become members of, or be serviced by Riverside Public Utility Water. Much cheaper water, much cheaper service charges. We buy the water from them and they sell it back to us.
Everyone, my name is Gracie Torres. I want to start just by thanking MGNA for doing this, for their community engagement. I mean, this is one of the largest crowds I've ever seen in a community forum. I'm looking forward for the other 2. I also want to thank all of you who live in Ward 4 or Ward 2 or Ward 1 or Ward 3 or Ward 4. It's been a privilege serving you as your board member. I'm a mother, I'm a working mother, and this is personal to me. Every decision that I make, which is why I take them so seriously, every decision I make is actually going to impact the 3 people I love most. Their futures, their plans, whatever they decide to do, those decisions will actually impact them. And that is the reason why I'm running. I want to make sure that we have a united council that make that when hard decisions come through, we work together to push them through rather than having to block each other. Please follow me on Gracie Torres. At Gracie Torres. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. You guys stay seated. Would the other candidates please come up and stand behind them? Yes, come up and stand behind them. While they're doing that, can we put up slide 8? Okay. Our next meeting will be next week on Wednesday down at La Sierra. And slide number 8. There you go. And this will be the question for all of them to answer next week related to the RTRP. The Riverside Transmission Reliability Project is currently planned to be put electrical transmission lines above ground with large overhead towers along the Santa Ana River. Many residents advocate for these lines to be underground to avoid the high fire risk of overhead lines in this wind-prone area. What would you propose, and what are the pros and cons of your alternative? That'll be the question for them to answer, the pre-prescribed ones, and then we'll have some prescribed ones. The next meeting will be on the 21st. Put up the next slide. There's a couple of meetings that you might not want to miss. The mayor's giving her State of the City address on the 28th, and on February 4th is the March JPA meeting on flights, commercial flights coming out of Large Air Force Base, and so you might want to attend that. And Catherine's got signs in the back. If you have any questions, she's in the back if you can answer questions. So you can now take pictures of all the candidates. This is your Mercury astronauts. And they all have the right stuff for being here tonight. So hope to see you next week. Thank you very much. Mingle with the candidates.